Welcome to Beyond the Box.
Our guests are insiders that are now out and on our side, dropping nuclear intel and breaking it down just for you.
And now it's time to introduce our hosts, Brenda Lankridge and Suzanne Haunt. Join us and subscribe for weekly shows. Beyond the Box begins now. Let's jump in.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Beyond the Box. I don't know how me and Susie got switched around, but somehow we did.
Right?
Hey Norma.
Hey Norma.
Rocco just messaged me and said, send me the link in my email. Okay.
Right?
You got to give me a minute. Give me a minute. I'm busy. So here we are tonight. And we were supposed to have Mike with us. Hopefully he's okay because we haven't heard from him.
Right? The last time he was coming on, he got locked up in the crazy house. So
Yeah.
seems to be a life of craziness, you know.
There's just been so much crazy lately. I don't even know what to do with myself. I've had one of those days today. I got up early today and stayed up all day. And I'm over here going, oh man, I didn't even get a nap. And poor Putin was begging me. Mommy, nap time. Go to bed. I'm like, oh, poor child. He's over here snoring now. That's always good. So tonight we are going to, it's Susie's story time. Susie's got some good stuff she wants to talk about.
Yeah. It is. I had a daughter named Tasha Marie Hott, and this is her birthday today, August 17th. She was born in 77. So she was my whole life. So, oh, I lost Brenda. Oh my goodness.
I'm not sure what happened there. How did that
We're there you go. I think you got to switch
Yeah,
around
well,
again.
we got booted for a whole second. I don't know.
Right?
You froze up and then we got booted. I was like,
So I was telling Brenda a really strange story about something that happened to me. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I'll just tell that story because you know how we all I have so many stories that I could never really tell. You know, those are those things that you know, Brenda has those kind of stories too. Those are the stories that you can't talk about. You know, we can't. You know, and this story is on the verge of, you know, one of those. It's kind of like on the verge of. It's so weird, but I will talk about it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's one of those kind of stories. You know, so it's yeah, but it's a weird one. It is definitely. It's one that's kind of boggled my mind.
It's our show. Nothing is weird. Or should I say weirder?
Right? I'm always saying, you want to hear something weird? Hey, I did have a dream. I've been doing a lot of like remote viewing the last couple days. It's been kind of weird, but I did have a dream that I was in a kind of a root cellar with a child, and there was a copperhead down there, and the child saw it, and I was like, and I said, I moved the child away from it. I moved away from it, and then so that I woke up from it. So you know, I know what that means. It means somebody that's evil, demonic, you know, has ill intentions toward me, you know.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is.
Norma has
So
a question. Um, she said that she's been hearing that we shouldn't use the word Bible. Instead, we should call it Scripture. What's your take on that?
Bible's what, like Babel?
Yeah,
the
yeah.
the
We
Tower of Babel? Babel?
we kind of know that. Yes, I think when it was written at first, it was Scripture, but when the Roman Catholics got a hold of it and turned it into the Bible, you know, I think that's when it kind of got screwed up. Hi, Brent.
Actually, and King James actually was a Protestant, who wrote the Bible. So he
Right.
deviated away from the Catholic Church.
He's also the one who ordered that the Book of Enoch be taken out. It's like,
So,
it's
well,
exciting.
he did a lot of weird things.
Mm,
So I
things
guess
are,
we should say our prayer before we get going, huh?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I got messages. Oh my God. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So, all right. So I just want to ask God, ask the Father, uh, for protection from us because Brenda and I have been under a lot of spiritual attack, physical, spiritual attacks, and and so has a lot of our friends and stuff gone through some stuff, and a lot of the people that we bring on our guests, God knows, that they've been going through some stuff too. So I pray for them. I pray for our listeners that are watching, and that God put a hedge of protection around us, protect us, and I and I pray that He guides and leads us all to a safer, better place than the things that we've been experiencing, and that we've been protected from all these demonic entities that are running around out here trying to destroy our lives and bring havoc and chaos to us. And I ask that in Jesus' name.
And nothing blows up on the show tonight. Boom.
Right,
Mm-mm-mm.
right.
I'll tell you. So, what do you want to start with?
Well, I told you earlier the weirdest story about something that happened to me, and it was, something that kind of freaked me out a little bit. And it was, after my daughter had passed away, I got a phone call from a guy named Jim Carolla, who he does like voice radio in Houston, and he was a guy that I bought a horse from. I know a lot of listeners are probably going to freak out, but I paid $62,500 for a horse. Yeah, yeah, dummy me. you
Not
know,
really. He was a good
well,
horse, right?
well, the thing of it is I guess when you're horse crazy, you don't put a price tag on, on a horse, right?
They don't ever
And
tell you not to wave at anybody when you're at an auction. Is that
no,
it?
like that's, and it was so crazy because my show horse had passed. She had lived to be 29, and then I was trying to look for a replacement for her, and at the time I had got some inheritance money, and so I didn't want to go over 20,000 on a finished cutter,
Right.
but in the reality of a good horse, that's probably, you know on the low end, looking for that, you're trying to find a deal basically, okay, but it's still a lot of money, right? I mean, shoot, you know
Yeah.
you go to the auction and pick one up for $500. So it's true, so I was shopping around for that right horse, and so it was kind of crazy. So this horse came up in this sale up in Lufkin, Texas, and I called the owner about it and asked him about the horse, and he basically said the horse was perfect. And I thought, great. He just told me he has the perfect horse. So, I'm going to go check out this horse. Well, there was like 600 horses in the sale. So he said, I'm not leaving without getting about 50,000 for this horse. I thought, there's no way I'd ever pay $50,000 for no horse. That's just crazy, you know, right? That's like I mean, that's crazy amount of money. So for a horse, and I mean, because a horse can colic and die the next day. I mean, there goes your money, right? Like they go right down the drain.
Right.
And so it's not like, say unless you have insurance, which I did get insurance on the horse, by the way, um, which ended up paying off because the horse had to go to the vet, and it was $10,000, so that insurance paid for that. So, but yeah, so I go to this auction, and then next thing you know, um, I see this horse, and I thought, wow, he's nice, but there's a lot of other horses. So he comes in first before the other horses do. That's the problem. And when they start bidding on him, I hear this little voice in my head from a guy named uh, Swab, a guy named Swab. He had told me, he said, or he told his wife, he said, and this was like the best compliment I ever had in my life. His wife told me, he said, my husband, who's a horse trainer uh, a judge, he was an NCHA cutting horse judge. He said, Susie, he said, my husband told me, he said, he thought you were the best horse rider he'd ever seen in his entire life. And that if you ever got a really good horse, no one would ever beat you. Right. And I was like, wow, that was like the best compliment in my entire life over anything, hands down. I thought that was the greatest compliment ever. So here I am. I'm hearing that voice in my head at this auction while this great horse is coming through the ring. And I'm thinking to myself, if I don't buy this horse, somebody else is going to buy this horse and they're going to beat me, And this is that one great horse that I got my opportunity to buy, right? And here it is. And if I let it go, then I'm going to buy the second best horse at the sale. And then that horse is going to beat me every time I go. This is like the things that your head tells you, and you're, going, sitting there,
Wondering.
So, oh my God. So I was like, okay, and so I was sitting in the back in the audience up on the balcony, and there was a big crowd, and I was embarrassed about, buying a horse like that. So I didn't want anybody in there to know that I was bidding on the horse. So I'd kind of like raise my hand like that in the back, and then the auctioneer seen me. So I was bidding on this horse. Well, at the end of it, I got the horse. Okay. And I thought, okay, I got the horse. Nobody knows who I am because, when you go to auctions, a lot of bidders, they just kind of like nod their head and you don't know who actually bid, but the auctioneer does, right? Well, I was trying to be one of those kind of people. But then what did they do? They asked me to come down out of the bleachers and come up to the front and get my picture taken in front of everybody. So much for like keeping it quiet. And then they had to print it on newspaper out because they had never sold a horse for that much at their sale. And so everybody at that point was like, oh, you bought that horse. And I was like, oh my God, I was so embarrassed,
I just paid $60,000 for this horse.
Oh my God, but his name was Cool Hand Hickory. And, they called him Luke, like from the movie Cool Hand Luke. Yeah. And he was a big bay stallion, and he won about 70 to 80,000 in cutting. He'd won all kinds of championships and stuff, and so he was a really nice horse, and I ended up showing him and fell in love with him, and he really was a great horse, and he became the sire of all of my babies that I have now on the ranch. So I have all his bloodline. And then now they're all going off and doing stuff. So it really turned out to be a good thing, to buy this horse,
Right.
Because he was, really great animal, and he had a really good mind on him. And So it was a good deal. And but the story goes that this man that owned the horse, Jim Corolla, became a good friend of mine. And he did like voice radio of Houston. He did the rodeos. Like if you went to the rodeos, like in Houston or anything like that, he was the guy that was the announcer at the rodeo. Okay, and so he had horses, and he had some like cool hands, babies and stuff, and he showed cutters and stuff like that. And he told me the reason he sold Hickory. That's what we called him. The reason he sold him, he was too much horse for him. Like because he was a stallion, and he did get all muscled up, and he'd start screaming at the mares, and I'd have to say, "Quit it, Hickory," and he'd listen to me. But Jim said he was intimidated a little bit by the horse, by the stallion, because he was not a calm horse, when he got riled up with the mares and stuff. But, he listened to me well, and he behaved for me, and I had no problems with him his whole life. And, we got along really great. So, so this is how I met Jim. So after I met Jim and stuff, it was like in 2008. Okay, this was back in 2008. Um, what happened was, now this is going to get kind of weird. This was after my daughter died. It was like 2 weeks after Tasha had passed. And so, a lot of people were calling me and, you know, consulting me and stuff and talking to me, about my daughter and stuff. And my daughter was, she was an absolute angel. Like um, she was like, everybody said she was the child everybody wishes they had. She was like a very kind, very, she would do anything I asked her to do. She was very sweet. She was very loving toward people. I mean, she was a horse girl. She rode horses like the wind. She could train them. She could break them. She could do anything. And so, she was, she was like the perfect daughter. Literally the perfect daughter. I mean, best child. And she looked so much like me. Everybody would confuse us. They'd see her on the horse. I think it was me or whatever. It was kind of funny, and we did everything together. So she homeschooled, and I raised her in the saddle shop in Austin with me. And so I never ever went to the store or anywhere without her. Everything we did together. We were inseparable. We trained horses together. We did everything together. Um, we were just as close as anybody could be. A mother and daughter. We were just like inseparable. So she was literally my whole life. And I think a lot of that was because before Tasha, I had another child, named Dustin, and he was 4 months old, and he died a crib death. And so when I lost him, my heart literally, like, it broke that day. And I told God, why, God? Why didn't you take me instead of that child? That child was 4 months old. That child had its whole life in front of it, and I was like 22 at the time. I said, I've already lived my life. I've already got a chance. I've already been here. So you could have taken me and not the child. That's just not fair, and I was so distraught. And that's literally what that going through that was how I was introduced to a guy named G.W. Turner, who was a Baptist preacher. I was introduced to him. I started going to his church, and he would have me come every Sunday. And eventually, at the end of the year, he had a woman, in the her name was Big Iris, and she used to be a prostitute and all this stuff. And here I'm going to put it out here. Yes, I was a prostitute for 2 years of my life, everybody. So yeah, there we go. I'm putting it out there.
When she was younger.
Yeah. Well, not proud of it, at all. But I was raised in a very abusive. My father was very abusive, beat me severely. Um, my mother uh, was, just pretty much abandoned me. My dad, and that he would come home drunk. He was pretty much like a German and drunk, and he would beat me. I mean, people talk about going into, these. super soldier projects and being beaten and tortured. Well, I didn't have to go there. I was in my own basement and my dad was beating me. I mean, one night he had me and my brother walking around the basement quacking like ducks. He said, "You're not quacking loud enough. Quack, 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 quack." We have to go around quacking like ducks around the basement while he's screaming at us. And he had a board and he would come down there, he would beat us, and I would have bruises from my back down to my ankles. And I would never wear shorts to school because I was so bruised. I didn't want any of the other kids to know that my dad was beating us every night. And he would stand us up against the wall and throw beer bottles at me and drink. He would drink whiskey and beer bottles, and he would preach the Bible, and he would eat peanuts. Yeah, that was his routine. And every night he would read the Bible at us, and and then we'd get his board out, and he would beat us every night. And so I ended up running away. I got put in a detention center, and then I got sent back. My dad was nice for about 2 weeks, and then he went back to beating us again. So I ended up running away when I was 15 years old and went to my grandparents' house, told my grandmother. She didn't believe me. And then I showed her all the bruises, and she said, "I'm so sorry. You don't have to go back." And so I never had to go back to my father again. And then my grandpa had a stroke after a little bit. I couldn't live with him. So I moved in with another family, um, the Raiders in Talmadge, and went to high school there. And I got a job working at my high school, so that I could, have money to buy my makeup and my shampoo and stuff when I was in high school. So I kind of had to work through high school myself. I started, pretty young with working. Um, so I was doing pretty good, and I was about to finish high school. And my mother, she had moved to Florida, and my mother was really messed up, extremely bad mother. And I was still 17, and she threatened me if I didn't come to Florida and live with her, she was going to have me arrested and bring me down there. And she was in Jacksonville. And I didn't want to. I wanted to finish high school with this family I was living with, and she said no. I had to go with her. And but I had had a little experience in a church. I met a girl in school, high school, named Kim, and I went home with her one day, and I saw a Bible laying on her dresser, and I said, "Kim," I said, "do you go to church?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Can I go to church with you sometime?" And she started crying. I said, "Why are you crying?" She goes, "Because when I met you, I told God I would not ask you to go to church with me, because everybody I ask go to church with me, they don't want to be my friend anymore. And now you asked me to go to church." So I started going to this little Nazarene church with her a little bit. And then we went there for Bible studies. And then I went to this little church in Canton, Ohio. And that's when I heard somebody speaking in tongues, and then one lady said something, and then another lady said something, and it was like God was saying, "I love you." And I said, "I want this God." I remember I said, "I want this God." And the Kim's sister-in-law said, "Would you like to go down and pray?" And I didn't know how to do that. And I said, "Yeah, I guess." And so I went down to the altar. And when I got to the altar, I didn't know what to ask God. I didn't know how to pray to God correctly. And I just said to God, I said, "God, I don't know what it will take for you to make me what you want me to be, but whatever it takes, you do it." And I remember that was my prayer to God that day. And so, you know, after that event, about 2 weeks later, I went to this party in Pennsylvania, near Erie, Pennsylvania, with all my, because I like to smoke pot with my friends there in Talmadge and drink beer. We used to go to the football games, and we'd all, you know, we'd drink our little beer and smoke a little joint. That's what we did. And so I went to this party, right? And I climbed up in this tree 50 feet, and was up there smoking this joint. And we finished smoking this joint, and I went to get down from the tree, and the vine that I grabbed hold of, it broke. So I fell 50 feet from this tree and landed on my back. Yeah. And I didn't break any bones in my body, but um, I got knocked out basically somewhere when I fell. And then I woke up when I hit the ground. I remember thinking I'm alive, and I thought I saw Jesus standing behind the tree, but I couldn't remember because it was just so weird everything that happened to me. And the guys that were there picked me up. They took me to the hospital. I had stitches in my nose, stitches in the back of my head. My face was all swelled up. They took me to the hospital. I dislocated my back. I my vertebrae. I landed on my back. I ended up 8 years later. God healed me miraculously of my back. But it was a pretty bad fall. I just didn't. I was just fortunate that it didn't kill me and I didn't break any bones. But I remember thinking when I was
Jesus was standing
falling.
behind that tree saying, "What did you learn?"
Right. It's like, well, it wasn't. It wasn't like I was just in this tree. It was so beautiful out there in this forest in Pennsylvania, and we were up in this tree looking around. But the thing of it is, uh, you know, um, I said when I was falling from the tree, I said, God, I can't die yet. I haven't even been baptized yet. You know, I'm like, I think that is so kind of. I look back at that saying, I can't believe I was saying I haven't been baptized yet. I can't die. It's like, so I guess he's like, heard my prayer while I was falling out of this tree. Or because I was, like, I mean, who thinks that? I kind of laugh thinking, that I was, but that was important to me because I was trying to figure out, which direction to go with my life, and then how I ended up into the prostitution was, that after with being with my mom, by the time I ended up being homeless, like she put me out on the street and I used to go to her house and I'd ask for food and she would and feed me. And I'd have to go down to the convenience store and steal a corn dog to eat, and this guy that owned the store, he raped me, and I mean, I went and then I met Otis Toole and Lucas and they tried to kill me and
Right?
everybody was trying to kill me and it was like I was living on the beach. I was living homeless. I ended up staying with a high priest of the satanic cult there in Jacksonville. I mean, I'm homeless. I'm exposed to the world basically because I had no home. I was going from house to house. So by the time I was 20 years old, I'd already lived in 350 homes. I mean, because it was constant moving, constant. I was kind of an orphan in life basically, because I didn't have a mom or a dad. My grandfather, nobody could take care of me, so I had no family. I had nobody. I'm still a teenager. I have nobody. I moved into this place called Teens for Christ in Jacksonville, Florida, and the guy was trying to sell me and my girlfriend. We ended up hitchhiking down to the Key West, and that's when I met all the drug dealers down in the Keys. That's how that ended up happening. So I was constantly just going from house to place, just trying to survive. And then I met some people that they were gonna. My dad had moved to Texas, and my dad said he became a Christian. So he said, "Come to Texas, and I will help you." So I decided, if that's true, my dad's Christian, and you know maybe he's changed, and I'll go. So I decided to catch a ride, and I went to go hitchhiking, Brenda, and my girlfriend met this guy, and so we're going up through Georgia, and we get to Georgia, and they decide that they park this car at a parking lot. They decide to go rob a hotel.
Oh, great.
Okay, yeah, they decided to go rob a hotel, and I'm asleep. I didn't know they had made these plans. I wake up, I have a dream. I see these two guys running in these army outfits, and I wake up and I see these guys running up to the car, and I'm like, "What did y'all do?" And they like, "Shut up." And they had a bag. They had a little paper bag, right? And they threw it in the back seat, and I'm like, What's going on? What did y'all do?" And so they told me like 3 times to shut up, and I was like, "Okay, I'm not going to say nothing." So we go to a gas station, and then I had a vision, because God was working in my life, and I saw this black cloud, and I told my girlfriend what I saw, and she said, "You should listen to Susie because God talks to her." And we shouldn't go here. Well, we went to this gas station, and um, the police swarmed in on us. We were in Macon County, Georgia, and they swarmed in on us, and they took us to the jail. And then I spent 40 days and 40 nights in Augusta, Georgia jail. Yeah, for something I didn't have anything to do with, but because I was a hitchhiker in this car with these people, I'm there.
Guilty
And
by
while,
association.
huh?
Guilty by association.
Yes. While I'm in this jail, sitting there during my birthday and everything, I'm turning 20 years old in jail in Georgia, and it was the largest county jail, and it was like all black women, and they were some pretty rough ones in there. And this one girl wanted to stab me. I mean, it was not a very nice place. And so I kind of saw the life of what prison life was all about, a little bit. And while I was in there, I met this lady named Dira Bradford, and Dira was an atheist. And so I had told her about my love for God, and that I had forgiven my father and my mother for, all the things that they had done wrong to me, that I had forgiven them. And um, she she wrote me a letter after I got out, when I got on a bus and went to Texas with my dad. She wrote me a letter, and she said to me, she says, Susie, she said, she goes, I was an atheist, but you said you forgave your dad for what he did to you, and your mom, for what they did to you. And I said, if Susie could do that, there must be a God. And she said, I gave my heart to Jesus, and then I ended up meeting a preacher, and I got married. And she said, because you were able to forgive your father, and I was like, wow. So, I didn't, you never know sometimes, the places that you're in, and, you know, maybe there's something good can come out of something that's so bad, like Dira getting saved. I mean, I didn't have any idea. She was a pretty rough woman, and so she I was glad to hear that she changed and gave her life to God. But
Right.
my story went, when I got to Texas with my father, he was still an alcoholic. He was not a Christian. And um so I tried to talk to my sisters and brothers and talk about Jesus to them and stuff. And my 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 dad was so still like he was when I was there. And one day they just decided that they didn't want me there. And so they got my bags, and they put me in the car, and they took me down the road, and it was outside of Austin, and outside the Dairy Queen, and just put me out on the side of the road like I was a stray dog, literally. Just, and I got out of the car, and I looked at my stepmom as she drove off, and I thought, I mean, I said, I'm no different than a stray dog, like that's like I have no family. I don't know anybody. I just got here to Texas. I don't know where to go. and and so I remember looking over in this pasture behind the Dairy Queen, and I saw a horse in this pasture, and I said, that horse has got it better than me, you know. And and I don't know what I'm going to do. So at that point, I went and sat in the Dairy Queen, and then I figured out, I got the newspaper, and I started looking for like a roommate situation. And I made some phone calls, and these students called me, and they said, yeah, you can get a room here. And so they came pick me up, and then I went there, and then I started working. Well, I was in my 20s, and I had met a guy named Eddie, and I ended up getting pregnant. Okay. You know how that goes, right?
Yeah.
And so I ended up getting pregnant, and so that was, I have a son out there, and he's he lives in San Antonio, and this was when I was in my 20s. You know, his name is Brian, and so at that time, I had no way to take care of my son. I was pregnant, and Eddie was not a good father. They kept firing me from my jobs. I lost like 8 jobs. It was very tough. And at that point, I saw this advertisement for nude modeling, and me being as ignorant and stupid as I was, and naive child, back then, I had no idea that nude modeling was prostitution. I didn't know, I just didn't know that. Because they just say modeling studios and you think it's modeling. You don't think, and I
Right.
thought, I kept going after job after job after job, and my landlord told me they were going to evict me. They kept coming to my house threatening me, and I was pregnant and I had nowhere to go, nobody to go turn to. Um, and it was pretty rough, and so I decided I would try this place. And at that point, it was like when I walked into this little building, and it was in downtown Austin, across the street from the airport. It was like right downtown Austin. I mean,
No.
yeah, right across the street from where the airport is, right?
Yep.
I go there, and I'm thinking it's just a modeling studio. And then I get there and they explain to me, oh, well, we do something more here if you want to. And I thought, no, I don't want to do that. But you know what? What happens is when I went to work there the next day, and then the money is put in front of my face, and I know I got to pay my bills or I'm going to be on the street. It kind of outweighed, the moral issue. And I thought, well, maybe I won't ever tell anybody. Maybe this will be my secret. I'll never talk about this. This is something that I have to do in order to eat, something I have to do to put a roof over my head, because I don't want to be back on the street, and I'm pregnant. What am I going to do? You know, I was actually pregnant working there. Yeah. So, I get it when girls have to go through that kind of stuff. I mean, that I was that girl. I was that girl that had nobody to help me. I was always on my own. I was always having to do my own, and I ended up working in there for about a year and a half, I think it was. Um, and at that point, what I did is I saved up all my money. I was making about $1,500 a week. I saved up all my money, and I went and bought my own land when I was in my 20s. I bought 8 acres of land. I bought a house. And I said, I will never be homeless again. I will own my own land. I will never rent from anybody. And I will make sure that, because if I have to take care of myself, I'm going to take care of myself. This is how I'm going to do it, you know. And I said, I'm not hurting anybody but me, what I'm doing. I'm not selling drugs. I'm not hurting somebody else. I'm just hurting myself. This is what I'm doing, and so it was like self-sacrificing myself to get a roof over my head, to have a home, So that's what started it. Well, I ended up at that point, Brenda, I had bought a horse and everything, and I had gone into the saddle shop in Austin, and I found the front door wide open at the store on a Saturday, and I called the police and it was Buck Steiner's, saddle shop in Austin.
Right.
And so the police came, and then they called the owner, which was the son, and then he gave me like a gift certificate. And then on Monday, I went in there. Well, when I went in there with my gift certificate to go buy some stuff, Buck says, "Oh, you're the one that came and found my store unlocked, and you didn't steal anything from me." He said, "I need honest people. Would you like a job?" And so that was the beginning of how God put me in I found my dad. Buck became the father that I never had, and then he literally took me and raised me. And so for 19 years, he lived to be 100, like 101 and a half. And so he gave me a piece of property, it was after God told me he said, God told me, um, that he was going to that he told me to pack my bags. I was moving, and didn't want to sell my 8 acres, but God told me to do it. And then Buck says to me, "Why are you doing that?" And I said, "Well, I didn't want to tell him that God told me to do it, because he didn't believe in God, and I didn't want to like confuse him. So I just said, well, I need more land, for my horses and stuff." And at that point, later, about 6 months down the road, he says, "I'm going to help you." So he was like Scrooge, Brenda. I thought he meant that he was just going to pay for the U-Haul. Yeah, like literally, like I was working for Scrooge, right? And he ends up Instead, he ends up he says he had a piece of property that he paid about $80,000 for at the time. And he said, I'm going to give you that property. And that's what he did. And it turned out it was 194 acres, but he paid like 300 an acre for it. And, you can't buy land like that today, anywhere.
Right.
But, back then, you could buy land all day long for, he used to buy land for $5 an acre, back in the day, $5 and $10 an acre.
Right.
So it turned out that Buck and I were good for each other because I I have my life and in his life, and I was able to talk to him about Jesus, and so eventually he got baptized when he was 100, and he said to me one day, he said, Susie, we saved each other. I helped you financially, and you saved my soul, and you brought me to Jesus. So we were good for each other. He said we were each other's earth angels, that we were there for each other. So,
He probably needed you too.
yes, he he had a lot of money, but his family didn't have time for him. And I didn't have a family. And so he literally became the father that I never had. He became he wasn't a mother, but he was the parent that I never experienced. I grew to love that man so much. I looked up to him so much, and like he cared about me, like Brenda, like he'd say, you need to make sure you have a spare tire. Never go anywhere without a spare tire. I mean, I never had anybody fuss over me like that. Never had anybody, you know, and it's like he loved me unconditionally. Like he loved me, and I knew that no matter what, now I didn't do anything, you know, because I gave my life to Christ, and I went to church. I did, all that stuff. I didn't do anything to compromise my own morals at that point, now because I and later on, if I back up the story a little bit, when just about the time after I'd met Buck and everything, I had been going to that Baptist church, and I had experience coming home from church one night, and the Lord told me, choose me or choose Paul. That was my husband at the time. I said, I choose you, Lord. And at that moment, it was like my road to Damascus. I had this complete like change come over me where I didn't want to do anything wrong ever again. I just wanted to live for God and do the right thing. And so it was from that point on that I had this huge, you know, God influence and change. God had always been trying, like there in my life, but I was just so lost in the world and had so many things coming against me. And our guests, so many of our guests, Brenda, you know, I'm sure that they struggle with what's happened to them in their past, and it's affected their relationship with God. And it doesn't have to. You don't What's happened to you in your past has nothing to do with who you are today and where you're going tomorrow. Okay?
True. True.
So it doesn't matter how bad it was. It doesn't matter what you did. I mean, it does all that can God can forgive you. He does forgive you. You just got to forgive yourself. You got to
Right.
forgive yourself, and it's important that you forgive everybody that's offended you or done you wrong too, because you want God to forgive you. So you got to be willing to forgive them. And it's not that you're condoning what they did. We're never going to condone anything that these people have done to us or anything like that. That's not the point. The point is that you want a clean slate before God. You don't want to hold grudges against people, and then you don't want God to hold a grudge against you.
Right.
Okay? So that's the whole point, So, we go through these struggles, and you know, and so I think that's why you and I we want to do what we do, because we've suffered. And Brenda, I know your story. You suffered horribly. You've suffered horribly, and so have I. And so this is why we have we have this compassionate heart toward our guests and these people. And when they tell us their stories, we we understand what pain is. We understand what torture is. We
Yep.
understand the pitfalls and the downfalls of the world, and friends and family can let you down. You know, strangers can harm you. We understand that this is the world we live in. You know, but at the same time, I feel like we're overcomers. We are overcoming these things, and we're trying to be better us's, better
Right.
me's,
Yeah.
and we're trying to help other people find their way, find their path, find their peace. I think,
You know,
someone
even
go
though,
ahead.
even though what happened to me when I was younger, and then finding out all the things I found out when I was older, and then finding out even still what I was dragged through in early teens, preteens, I had made peace with what happened to me um, early on because I did not want to carry that around. You know, for a long time, I would have dreams, nightmares. I would wake up crying, screaming. But once I want to say I forgave. That's a hard word for me. Um, I would rather use,
It's not forget. We don't forget. It's
yeah.
forgive and forget are two different words.
Oh, I will never forget. That's a for sure. But I think that you live. You know what changed it for me when I lost my leg? Like I said, since I lost my leg, I became a more humble person. And even coming to peace and coming to terms with what happened to me when I was younger, I think it was a shocking experience when I found out what I did not too long ago when I was told uh, what happened with me and my sister. And um, I think that it made it a little bit easier for me to deal with. Yes, the first day, what was I doing? Boy, I was crying my eyes out. I can't believe this. What? But after that day, it made it easier. I've become more humble. I'm not as feisty as I used to be, you know. But like I said the other day, now, yeah, I'm in no terms am I weak because that's that. No, but
Yeah, we're not weak people. We're stronger actually because of it. But
we
we
deal with it. We deal with it with clearer heads.
yes.
Um, you know, it just makes it easier. Okay, Tommy. Tommy's jumping in. All right,
I'm
everybody. I can't
jumping.
guarantee he's going to be completely dressed, but it's all good. Tommy, Tommy, I'm jumping in.
All
Jump
right,
in,
Tommy,
Tommy.
jump in.
Get your feet wet. But yeah, I think that we deal with things a lot clearer headed. And it wasn't until actually Tommy told me you need to stay humble and you need to stay focused because it does make me feel like I can conquer things now. Like I can think about what I'm going to do before I do it. And it turns out better. And I know that a lot of you have not heard my story, but right now I can't say anything because, well, the person
Just
who
all
harmed
they need
me
to
when I was
know is
younger,
that what you went through, Brenda, is
yeah,
was
family is
so
still alive.
painful and so traumatic, okay, that it's that nobody should have to go through what you went through
That's right.
as a
But
child.
one day,
Okay.
one day I will. One day you guys will know everything. And Dr. Gonzo,
Hello.
hello. We
It's a
can't.
black screen. There he is. He's sideways.
I got the black screen too. So,
Yeah.
Hey, Tommy.
hello.
You doing okay?
I am doing okay. Been a day.
I bet.
Thanks.
Yes.
Did you catch our
We're
conversation, Tommy? What we're talking about?
I just the very tail end.
yeah, we're
Very.
just conversating about some stuff that Susie went through that people didn't know, and kind of just talking basically. I was doing another show before I came in here to do this one, and I was laughing so hard my stomach hurt. So I'm kind of glad I came over here for a while because, man, they had me rolling. They did this thing where they had IA make a picture of my dating, what it would look like if I was on a dating site, and oh my God, they made a picture of me look just like me when I was a teenager. Long hair, my hair pulled back, wearing jeans. I'm like, where did you guys get that picture? That's me when I was. And they were laughing. I said, wow, AI did not disappoint. I was little everything. I'm like, what? I think AI was following me around.
Yeah, right.
It was pretty funny, but yeah. So we're over here and we're just talking about stuff. You wanna
We're
talk
getting
about?
serious here,
Yeah.
right? But I had to go there, Brenda, just to kind of give everybody that foundation about who I am and what I've suffered and how I've overcome all that suffering,
Yes.
and
How you've overcome it, and you've done very well. Actually, you've done better than most. I can honestly say. I've known plenty of people that have been out on the street and they stayed that way. So you have done miraculous. A 180 turnaround. People that would meet you now would never, ever think that you would have went through what you went through. You
And
know
see,
right?
what?
I missed all that, so now I'm just catching the. Now I want to.
You'll probably have to watch it. You have
Yeah,
to go back and watch it because it's pretty traumatizing story, Tommy.
yeah.
I mean,
I
for me,
understand.
it was
Yeah,
my
Marie was
trauma.
in the audience going, "Oh my God, Susie, my heart breaks for you. Please stop."
Well,
I
I don't want to.
didn't mean to mess everybody's heart up tonight, but it is the anniversary of my daughter's
That's her.
birthday,
Yes.
and I got a little bit kind of reminiscing about my life and missing my daughter and my son, and I had my three children that I've lost. Okay, so I have my fourth child, um, and I thank God for that because I have a really good son,
You do.
and he's an amazing young man that I couldn't have asked for a better kid. Couldn't. It's just not possible. He even kind of puts me in my place when I need to be put in my place too. So
I need that sometimes.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
he's good at that. He can chew me out at times, and you know, I totally respect him and love him. He's
Yep.
he's the bomb.com. My son is. So,
Well, he's got a
but
strong mom, so you know.
my strength. What is it's my strength is not in me. My strength is in my God. That he's that crutch that that I've had to like lean on. Or
Yep.
that he's that's what God has like been to me. He's been that crutch, or he's been that guiding light that's led me in the directions that I've got to go to. And by his love and his grace and his mercy, I have found my way through this horrible dark world that I was born into, you know. And I feel like that I lived the darkest life and had the darkest experiences and felt the darkest pains. So and that's what Tommy I was saying was I understand other people's darkness and pain because I've experienced it myself in many fashions and very many experiences in my past, you know. So that's why, you know, I get
Like,
it. People
yeah,
tell their stories. I get it, you know. Yeah. I know what pain is. I've, you know, felt it
Empathy.
many times.
You have empathy. You're an empath.
You know, and then
what?
if I forget, I'll, you know what, Brenda, if you forget what pain is, you stub your toe every now and then, don't you, girl?
I know I didn't stub my toe last night. I tore it open. Gash my toe. I was bleeding all over the place last night. I was like, holy cow, man. I already have one mark on that toe because I hit it when I was in the hospital, and I cut it when I was in the hospital on the bed. And they said you gotta wash that, because it's the only one I got. And what do? Right next to it on the same big toe, I gashed that thing open last night. I've got it all wrapped up. It looks like a big old.
She did, and that's not the first time you've done that, girl. You know.
I'm telling you, and Jack's like, if you don't watch these toes, you're gonna start losing them. Oh no, my little piggies aren't going to the market. I'll fight
We're gonna have
that.
to put some bumper pads on your toes or something, you know.
I took this off my mic. I think I'm gonna stick it on my toe.
There you go. Wind talk.
Well,
I've always told you, Susie,
go
my
ahead.
mom did not call me Grace for a reason, and I was the type of kid that tripped over air. I have broken arms and wrists and fingers and legs and
Oh my
tailbones a
gosh.
couple of times. Oh yeah, I've had a lot of broken bones. Stay off
That's
of
crazy.
mechanical bulls, y'all. It will crush your damn tailbone, and then when you wear jeans, you can't bend over because the crease is right there, and it's like, no, 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 don't do it, don't do it. But yeah,
Right.
hey, I was
Well,
winning. I already had $400 on the stand by a whole bunch of military guys, and what
oh
happened?
wow.
The smart butt behind the controllers turned it up, and it flew me up. I let go, and I landed on the side of it and
Ouch.
broke my tailbone. Landed on the floor screaming at that man. I must have called him every dirty name in the book, and I even made some up. So I think ass monkey was something that flew out of my mouth.
Jesus. And there goes my $400, mister.
No, no, no. I hung on for 16 seconds, not 8.
There you go.
It was good. But yeah,
That's
I'm gonna
funny.
tell you. But yeah, we were just talking about how we like doing what we're doing because we can understand, you, Rocco, because even though everybody's been through a lot of different pain, um, pain is pain still the same.
Yeah.
Mentally, it is always the same. It affects everybody the same. So
Yeah.
we can understand. And when I left the other show, he says, "Oh, put on your tinfoil hat." I said, "Hey, I like my tinfoil hat show. Shut up." you know, I'm like, idiot. But yeah, I mean, it's good. I like it. I I like to be able to give people a place to unload and to make other people understand. Um, Rocco wanted me to take his show down, and I had to act like a mom. And I said, why? Well, I just think it would be best. Rocco, you get on this show to tell the truth and to show people what you guys go through day in and day out. The gang stalking that happened while in the chat, well, that's gang stalking 101, and people got to see it. And now they understand it a little bit better. Yeah, a little bit better.
They got to see it live happening, you know, and then, you know,
And they were even picking on me and Susie,
it's
but
real.
we were just like, just say whatever. You don't
Yeah.
know me from Adam.
No, you know, after I survived the National Enquirer and the Globe, and it's like they ain't got nothing on that, okay?
Which
You know,
that's quite the compliment.
right. You know, she still has that National Enquirer. I seen it
I
when I
do.
was over there.
Yeah, I think I got it. Let's see.
I'm like,
Somewhere
I
over.
think I need to get a hold of that and order it. I wonder if you can
figured I'd
order them.
make the World Weekly News at some point, but
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, there it is, right there. There's the
Look,
National Enquirer.
the National Enquirer. She is in the National Enquirer, y'all.
And let's see.
legendary.
I know, Norma. It was insane.
There it is. There's
Legendary.
me and Buck, if you can see it, right?
Yep.
And
Yeah. They. She's
so
like, you know what? If I can survive this, I'm good. I'm good for her.
and then all these are like making the front page of the newspaper in every town I've ever lived in. For some reason, they want to know what I'm doing. You know, for some reason.
Well,
You know, I don't know why. I
Inquiring
don't know
minds,
what the obsession is. What,
Yeah.
Tommy?
inquiring minds want to know.
That's right.
That's what it. That's right. I mean, like, what is Susie doing?
That is their
What in the world is Susie doing?
inquiring
Susie
minds
doing?
wanna-
It's kind of like
Well,
a TV
we know-
series or something, you know?
We know
Yeah.
that at that time you were doing innocent things at that time, and they had to make it bad.
There you
Just
go.
because-
They had to just try to, you know, and you try to do the right thing, and then they want to like come after you.
You sang that song. Let's give them something to talk about. I mean,
I was actually, you know, living as a Christian and doing all kinds of good things, and then bam, here comes the devil and puts me in the National Enquirer and tries to make up all this stuff about me. Hey, if I did it, I'm going to be the first to tell you I did it wrong. I did this, I did that. But if I didn't do it, I ain't taking the blame for something I didn't do because I'm that kind of person.
I said,
You know.
you grew up with a little bit better morals than I did, I think, because if it had been me and they were accusing me of what they accused you of, they'd have got a picture of me sitting in his lap rubbing his chest hairs just because. I'll give you something to talk about. Here we go. You know? I mean,
You
but
know.
that I grew up with taking smart ass class 101, I guess. I don't know.
Well,
I
here's the funny part about that, Brenda. Okay, so I was being accused of being Buck Steiner's girlfriend. Okay.
Right.
But let me tell you, Buck Steiner was the wealthiest man in Texas. Okay. So if that's the case, then why didn't I marry him? Because, you know, I mean, then I could have been the richest girl in Texas. Okay.
Right?
But I mean, does that even make sense? I mean, come on. I'm like sitting there in the National Enquirer. It says that me and Buck are explaining to them that he's like a father to me, and he took me in as like a daughter, and he's a father to me. He ends up becoming a Christian and getting baptized, and so I mean, come on, people. If it were true, I would be like, you know, worth multi-millions of dollars. I'm like, you know, that's how dumb I think that whole thing was all about. You know, I mean, it just didn't make no sense. You know, but you know, hey, they got to sell magazines. They got to sell Enquirers. You know, whatever. You know, got to make up a story.
I'm telling you, you should have grown up around me. I took Be an Asshole 101. And Tommy told me one day, somebody was following me around the grocery store with nothing in his cart. I said, you should have went and picked up a big box of tampons and said, do these look like the right size? Because I'm a smart ass, I'd have done that. Okay.
It was one of my teammates from college.
Well, then.
I mean, it was. I didn't realize that he didn't buy anything until I saw him walk out of the store.
I will say something funny, Brenda.
Couldn't find the right size.
I mean, it would have been perfect for him too.
Yeah.
I knew this girl named Brenda back in the day, right? And she was kind of in a bad situation, and Buck always helped her. So Buck got these two fox terriers, and he named one Suzanne and the other Brenda.
Not the first time I was named after a dog. I worked for a Cocker Spaniel kennel when I was younger, and we used to show dogs. Matter of fact, that was the earthquake. We were in San Francisco when that big earthquake hit, and I said, "Oh, I'm getting out of here. I don't want to live here no more." But she had this little black, and she was so little, cocker, and she was the cutest thing ever. And she called her Brenda Britches.
Brenda.
And I was like,
But it's funny that Buck's favorite dogs in the whole world was Brenda and Suzanne.
I know, right?
That's funny.
And then here we are, Brenda and Suzanne today.
Yeah,
Cool.
we are here.
That's pretty cool.
Hey guys, let's
We're
take a 5-minute break because Brenda's got to run to the.
Here we go.
And I'm going to tell my Vatican story, which is going to get really weird, people.
Oh. Wait, I'm looking for the video to look at. I'm trying to buy time. Oh. Oh. Come on, button push.
Is
Are you coming back, Tommy?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're gonna go ahead and take a break, y'all. Hang out, and we will
See
be
you in
right
5.
back. Yeah. You'd think I would have that thing timed right in the middle of a puppy massage. My dog is so spoiled. I wish I was so spoiled when I was growing up.
It was that way.
Well, you know, if I don't give it to him, he like puts his hand underneath his head under my hand, and he's like, rub my back. So I have to rub his neck all the way down his back.
Yeah, we got cats like that. And if you don't stop petting him, he'll reach out with one claw and go.
No. Speaking of one claw, well, it was actually 4 claws and teeth. I went in to use the bathroom the other day, and my cat followed me in there. And I was like, oh. And she was rubbing on my leg, and I'm like, oh, no, no, no. I'm like, go, get out of here. She's rubbing on my leg, and all of a sudden, she leaps and grabs a hold of my leg with all 4 of her claws and bites me. And I'm like, oh, this is good. Trying not to fall off. Every now and then she does that. And I read this thing that said that that's how you know a cat loves you. They attack you.
I could do without that. Thank you.
Well, because she thinks that she's her mom, because I'm the only thing that she's ever been around. I mean, I bottle fed her. I taught her how to potty in a litter box and all that stuff. So, because she was like this big when I got her, and her eyes weren't even open, you know. So I'm the only mommy she knows, and cats wrestle with their siblings and their parents when they get older too. So she just she can't help that she weighs 50 freaking pounds, because all she does is sit around on her butt and eat. So when she latches onto me, it's like, oh God. So yeah. She's just lucky. I mean, she's old now, so I won't let her go nowhere else, because somebody else will probably kill her. But you know, so, and she's scared to death outside. She'll stand there. The day that Putin got out and ran towards the street, I come back. I forgot I left my front door wide open, and she's just sitting there in the doorway like, hello. She won't go outside. She, you know, she'd be a nice healthy treat for that owl today, but you know, so yeah. So yeah, it's all right. I deal with it. It's only an occasional thing, and usually I can ward her off of it, but she loves men. She loves Jack. She talks to Jack all the time, follows him around, begs him for tuna.
I mean, it's tuna.
She's right. Well, she gets tuna twice a day. She gets a spoonful in the morning and a spoonful at night, because she has a dry food all day. And we switch her. We give her tuna one week. When that can's done, we give her salmon the next. And boy, I'll tell you what, she won't touch cat food. Will not touch. Other than dry food, she will not eat moist cat food. You give it to her, she pushes her bowl on the floor. She don't know.
Spoiled.
That's what she does. She doesn't like it.
My dog cat attacked one time, and I ended up with blood poisoning the next day. It was, it was bad, yeah. It was Friday the 15th.
Yeah. Well, she breaks my skin. I usually pour the alcohol on it, and you know, jump around the house like a nut for a while until it cools off, and then we put Neosporin on it, and we always make sure we clean it up if she bites me, or if she, you know, gets me. But she's been vaccinated. She doesn't go out of my house. So
right.
I don't have to worry about her catching anything. You know, it's not like she's out there sleeping with 1,000 male cats.
That's like cat scratch fever, you know.
Yeah, they have some people have get that cat scratch fever from those cats.
Right.
But
Yeah, it bit the shit out of me. The next day, I stopped by my ex's work. She worked for a plastic surgeon. And she called him in, and he immediately went in the other room and wrote 3 prescriptions. Said, immediately, go get these right now, because if it doesn't improve in the next 24 hours, go to the ER. And I had red lines from all the way up to like
Yep.
glutes.
wow.
That's exactly what it is. Did your
That's
cat
scary.
ever go outside?
It wasn't my cat; it was my neighbor's, and it was an
Oh,
outside cat.
Yeah.
Doug was his name, Doug the cat. And Doug and I had become friends. Because he came over and just started being my buddy. I didn't even know he had an owner. And then my friend that I met pretty much a couple days before we had this big storm. It was line gale and it blew down a bunch of trees. So it was weird. All of a sudden, neighbors got out and walked around the neighborhood and met each other, and like we could sleep so much. I mean, I can remember just how sound the sleep was without any electricity, because it blew all the power lines down.
right.
It took almost a week for them to get them repaired. This was in Roanoke, in the city of Roanoke. And the cat jumps up my lap and he goes, "Doug, don't touch that cat, don't pet it." It was his cat. Apparently, it was schizoid.
Isn't it true, Tommy, that like some people get cat scratch fever and some people don't? I mean, it's not.
I'm not. I think it's just the bacterium in their mouth and claws when they
Depends
bite
on
you.
what it depends on what they're eating or being outside. A lot of times cats will eat junk garbage or,
Animals.
But
dead.
I've heard that some people can't get that. So it's like it has something to do with the person and the cat, like the combination or something. I don't know.
I don't know that. I know
Susceptible
that
to it. Yeah.
some people are less than others to different
Yeah.
things. Like, yeah.
Now, I had
just the cats. So
I had a bite when I went into the hospital and ended up going into that coma. The original reason why I went there was because she had bit me on my foot, on the top of my foot, and my foot had swelled and turned red. I didn't have that, but it had gotten infected.
yeah.
And
wow.
when I was in pain, and I know what happened, they can deny it all they want. The very first thing on my allergy list is morphine. Do not give me morphine. It
Yeah.
stops my heart.
And they gave you
And
morphine.
they gave me morphine because they didn't look. And
Oh.
yeah, it took them 24 hours to keep my heart going. They had to shock me 9 times and do manual CPR and all this stuff because they gave me morphine. And that's why
That's
it is
scary.
red on my sheet. No
Yeah.
morphine for me. Period.
Right.
And you know what sucks is that's what they carry in ambulances. And
Yeah.
so if I'm ever picked up in an ambulance and I'm ever in a lot of pain, they can't be giving me no morphine.
Ooh.
Yeah. I
You know,
got
wait till I get
allergic
there.
to iodine. When they were cleaning me up after my brain injury, they were getting ready to soak me down with betadine.
Nope.
Clean my road rash, street rash. Yeah. I pointed out to the guy that I said, "Hey, I'm allergic to that. Check my chart." In big black letters that said iodine allergy. And he grabs me by the back of the neck and jerks me forward and staples my open skull fracture closed. And
Hey,
pumped me full of morphine, put me to sleep.
yeah, that's a big no thing for me. And I always ask when I see a nurse coming at me with a needle, and they're going to put it in my IV. I always say, "What is that?" But that night, my daughter called me, "Mom, what are you doing?" I'm at the ER, so I wasn't paying attention. And I didn't see them coming with the needle because I always ask. I had that happen one other time. Some lady come in and I'm watching TV and she says, "I got you pain meds." I said, "Oh, what is it?" She put the needle into the thing on my IV. She said, "Morphine." I said, "Oh, go grab the crash cart." And she pulls it out and goes, "What?" And I said, "I'm allergic to morphine." She goes, "Well, it's a good thing I didn't push that." I said, "Oh, yeah." Get rid of that. Get that out of here. I don't care. Take it yourself. I don't care what you do with it. Don't give it to me.
Medical malpractice brought to you by
Yeah.
RC
RC Cola.
Well,
And
guys, I was thinking about how I was going to tell you this story about the Vatican, but this is a weird one. You know. a really weird one, and not really sure how to lead into it, you know?
That's a good lead.
Well, okay, okay, so, oh my God.
Start with the people that were talking about your daughter.
Okay. So, but here's the weird thing about the whole thing. When I started doing my genealogy, uh, back back in the day, back in about 2007, 2006, I think it was. No, wait, yeah. Started doing my genealogy and started finding out who my ancestors were, right? And looking into that. Well, from that, um, kind of kind of led me into different people that I'm related to. Okay. So, and as I started doing this research, and I had a couple of visitations by some strangers, like just complete strangers that tell me some very strange things, and to start researching things, start looking into things. And I started looking, I started doing research, and I had an encounter with a UFO one time, and that kind of messed up my head, because here I was going to church all the time, and yet this UFO thing comes over my head, and real hovers over me, and you know so it's kind of like a reality check, like you know uh, there's more to the world than what meets the eye, I guess.
Paradigm
So
shift.
yeah, it's like there's something else going on here that we haven't quite been told. And so I have to start researching things and trying to find out the meaning behind all this stuff. Like, why is this stuff manifesting in this world? Why are these things happening? Why is this going on? And who am I? And what is my, who am I? Who am I? What is my genealogy? What is my purpose in life? And it's, those are the questions that we ask. Who am I? And what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? Those kind of things. And so as I started to do the research and I started going to these churches, these prophets kept coming up to me and telling me stuff. And this one lady one time, she says to me, she tells me that I was Joan of Arc, you know, and I thought that was kind of odd, like, okay, I guess you could say I was kind of like Joan of Arc. And and I had other people telling me that, like, and so I started doing a little bit of research on Joan of Arc, and then I found out that my genealogy I'm related to a lot of the family that's related to Joan of Arc. Okay. So I kind of traced it back, and I said, okay, well, kind of makes sense. It's kind of in my bloodline, or, those kind of things. I can understand why, we might have tendencies or characteristics like these people and stuff like that. Right. So the more I start to research things, and then I start to, um, like, I guess you could say, at the time I didn't know what it was, remote view. I would go places, I would see things. Um, I started being shown things. More and more stuff started happening. It was like an overload of information coming in and researching stuff. And so so what had happened was at this one point after my daughter had passed away, I this is where the story starts with the Vatican. Um, I get a phone call about 2 weeks after Tasha passed, and it was Jim Carolla, the guy that I bought the horse from. Okay, and he calls me and he says, Susie, I just want to say, that I wanted you to know that your daughter. I thought your daughter was the sweetest girl I'd ever met in my life, the most innocent, kindest person ever. And he says to me, he said, I wanted you to know that my brother is a Jesuit priest at the Vatican, and they held mass for Tasha at the Vatican, and they declared her a saint. And I thought to myself, hey, Rocco,
What's
I
going
thought
on?
to myself, how is that possible that 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 my daughter is declared a saint at the Vatican? Because first off, I'm not Catholic. I've never been Catholic. Um, you know, and so why would and it takes like 2 years for the Pope to okay somebody to become a saint anyway, and you can't become a saint unless the Pope uh, basically okays it. Okay, and so I know the Pope Francis is a Jesuit, and there's a lot of echo right now. I think coming in. Do you hear that? I
What
think it
kind of
was. I think no, it's not your. I don't think it's Tommy. I think it was Rocco when he came on.
okay?
Huh? Do you hear it, Brenda?
Yeah, he probably has a fan running or something.
Okay. Um. So
Sorry.
so I know that Francis is a Jesuit, and so now I know that Jim's brother is a Jesuit priest at the Vatican. So he tells me that they held mass and declared my daughter a saint. Well, that to me was, here it had only been 2 weeks since my daughter died, and I I could not, and she was 19 years old. Okay. And so I felt so cheated in life because I felt like she finally got to be an adult, and then I lose her at that moment. And it was just like the worst feeling in the entire world to like have 19 years with somebody and then they be taken suddenly. Um, and she had pneumonia and got in her lungs, and and she went into a coma and never came out of it. And so I was pretty devastated, and so, but he tells me that they made her a saint at the Vatican. So I didn't know what to think about that. I thought it was very strange and everything like that. And then it wasn't long after that, I heard my daughter tell me on Mother's Day, "Mom, you're moving soon." And I thought, what? I said, I can't tell Christians that my daughter just spoke to me because they don't believe in that stuff. Okay. They'll say that's not possible, right? Like, and so I can't tell anybody. And I was like, I'm moving. Well, I didn't even have my ranch for sale or anything like that at the time. So I thought to myself, how in the world am I going to be moving? I had a 200-acre ranch. Okay. How am I going to leave? I've got 90 head of animals. I've got cows. I've got horses. I've got dogs. I've got all this stuff. And I'm supposed to be moving. And I'm thinking to myself, this is insane, and here's the thing. Um, uh, I'm thinking to myself, um, you know, if you sell your property, then you can move, right? But how am I going to move with all this stuff? And then my daughter's telling me this, and my daughter had always given me gifts on Mother's Day, and so this is the first Mother's Day that I was missing her, that she spoke to me, and I heard her talk to me. So I thought to myself, and see, this is where we go from what the church has told us and what the church has tried to tell us that we shouldn't believe this way, or we shouldn't think this way, we shouldn't know this, or we shouldn't know that. And then there's real life and these things that happen to us. And then we say, well, maybe they're lying to us, or maybe they're trying to control us, or maybe they're trying to control the narrative, or and so we start to question this control that's over our life, and who are these people that are trying to control us? And maybe they're not always the bad people, but maybe they're wrong. Maybe they don't know. Maybe maybe they've been taught by their mom or their grandmother or their great grandmother, and so they're just part of the system as well. They've been, what I mean? How long have they been told that they got to think a certain way or do a certain thing? you know, you got to put your right shoe on before you put the left shoe on, or something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
Dogma.
um, huh?
Dogma and tradition.
Yes. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, this is kind of weird. And so, she tells me I'm moving, and so about 2 weeks after she tells me that, um, and you got to remember she's already passed on. So I mean, I heard her voice clearly telling me I was moving, and she was excited, and then and then I get a phone call from a friend who had a property up in East Texas, and he says to me, "Hey, Susie, me and my wife are going to move to California, and we have our ranch, and it was a hotel resort, and we'd like you to lease purchase that property, and we'll put it under contract for a year until you could sell your place, and then that way nobody else can get this property, and you can move on it and live there." And I was like, "What?" And I'm like, "Okay." So I ended up moving all 90 head of animals to this other ranch, and just like she told me, and it was like, and it was right after she had died, and God knows I needed to get away from where I lived for a year. I was there for a year on this other property to heal, because where I was at, I was not going to heal, because every time I went to the store, I broke down and cried. Every time I had to go home. I couldn't the memories were so strong. I couldn't do it. I was in so much pain, and I could everything was hurting me. The memories were hurting me constantly. So I needed a new scenery, new places, new people. Everything had to be different so that I could heal. So when she said I was moving, it was so that I could heal for that year. So so at this point, I'm still a little confused. Now, here's another weird thing. I got to tell you this one weird story. I
I
went
know what
back
you're
to
gonna
visit
say.
another weird story. I went back to visit that ranch, okay, that I lived on for a year, that resort. And the family that ended up buying it after I moved out, this woman and her husband, they're really nice. And I took, a certain roommate with me, you know, and we went to this property. Okay, guess what? The lady told me that after I left, that some man showed up looking for me. Okay, and he was with the government, like, a three-letter agency, and he wanted to know if I lived there, and he thought that woman, like, might have been me, or so, I don't even know. And she's like, "No, that's not her." And he said, "Well, where did she go?" And she's like, "I don't know. And I was like, "What?" That was weird. And she goes, "Yeah, he stayed in our hotel for like a week, and it was really strange." So I thought, well, so that was actually in 2000. It was between 2009 and 2010 where that was happening. Okay. So this is what I'm tying it into, this Vatican story. Okay. So this guy shows up looking for me. I'm not there anymore. So I go back to where I live. So after I get back, I have this weird thing that happens to me. I have a horse trailer that I'm going to sell, right? And this horse trailer was pretty expensive. It was like about $60,000 trailer, right? It was a pretty expensive trailer. So it had living quarters in it. It was a big four-horse trailer. It was expensive. And this couple calls me. They live in Big Sandy, Texas. Okay, and they call me, and they said, the wife says, "Look, um, my husband is a Catholic priest, and this is the ones where they marry. This is the Catholic churches that marry, right?" And anyway, so she's like, um, and so she has lupus, and so she says, "We're going to drive down to your place, and we'd like to buy your trailer and everything, but can we spend the night at your house?" And yeah, and I said, "Sure, that's no problem. I have a spare bedroom." And so they come down, and really nice people. And so the wife and the husband sit down and they talk to me. We're talking about all kinds of things, Mandela effects and everything. And he's a Catholic priest. And they have like a church up there in Big Sandy where they have horses, and they had a farm, and they um, do a lot of animal stuff. Well, the wife says to me, she says, "My husband was Francis of Assisi's in a past life." Okay, and he's like the right hand emissary to the Vatican. I've been to the Vatican with my husband. We've been there because I have lupus. And she said, and this is what she said to me: "We know that you were Joan of Arc. We know that." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, and I'm like, yeah. And she said, and my husband was Francis of Assisi. And she said, and also what we want to say is, she says, this is where it gets weird. She says to me, I've already got it weird because my daughter's been, made a saint, which I'm not understanding that one at all. Anyway, so now here this lady says to me, well, what I want to know, she says, I have lupus and I'm not going to live very long. And we would like you, if you would marry my husband. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, wait a minute. You want me to marry your husband, the Catholic priest? And you know that I was Joan of Arc, right? Like, yes. And I said, okay, so you know what the church did to Joan of Arc? And they were like, they burned her at the stake. Okay. Right? And I said, no. I am not interested in marrying your husband. I said, first off, I'm not Catholic. Okay. Second of all, I'm sure we were all Catholic in a past life, every one of us. Okay. But I'm independent now, thank you. And I'm going to stay that way.
And I don't want your damn husband.
Well, I mean, he was really nice. I mean, the next morning, him and I had coffee in the kitchen and we talked about it a little bit and stuff. And he was a very kind person. But I was a little bit shocked. Like, why did the Catholic Church want me to marry this priest so bad? Why do they want me back in the church? Let's just say I was Joan of Arc. Okay.
Change.
And let's just say, who is my daughter that they declared her a saint, And so why was it so important that I was back in what is this? What is this? And I'm like, is this really my life? Should I pinch myself? Who are these people? Why are they looking for me? Why are they doing this to me? I'm like, this doesn't even make sense in a normal world, so, can you make this stuff up? No, you can't even make this stuff up. This is insane, crazy stuff, seriously, so, I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. So, I guess the thing is why was it so important that the Catholic Church had me part of it? I don't know.
To change the past?
I just want to hear y'all's thoughts on this. I'm just going to shut up for a minute. I want to hear anything y'all got to say. Anything, I want to hear it. Go ahead.
I think it was to change the past to make Joan of Arc actually Catholic so that it didn't happen. Mandela effect.
Maybe to dissolve the church of the doing that.
Or they might have just been weird couples and swingers or something.
No, they weren't. They didn't want me to be like that. She said if she died from the lupus, then I was to marry her husband to replace her.
And then, like I said,
they were pretty straight. Yeah.
I knew somebody that had lupus and they lived to be 69.
What's going on?
Hi, Rocco. How are you?
I'm great. I'm living life, I'm not letting anything get in my fucking way, man. I am bulldozing through whatever comes my way. I don't care. And I just want to let you know that you ladies are going to be possibly on a list of lawsuits because there are a bunch of angry hosts out there.
About?
A bunch of angry hosts out there.
About
you taking their content and making money off of their content. Okay?
What are you talking about? First of all, hang on. We don't make no money off of no content, and we don't play content.
No, your videos. What I'm talking about is your fucking videos are getting taken and cash apps are getting added to it is what I'm trying to tell you. This is what I'm trying to tell you. I follow this stuff.
hang on.
I follow these idiots.
Hold on.
These people are real.
Hold on. Because first of all, I don't even
No, he's not
understand
talking about us, Brenda. He's talking about other people are doing it.
Other people are doing it
Other
too,
people.
little me. All those people have taken your content and added money. I'm telling the truth. I don't care. You understand? When I signed a contract to hit this vessel, when I signed a contract to be in this vessel.
First of all, they didn't have my permission. Okay?
I know that.
First of all, they don't have my permission. My shows are modified, which means that they're my shows. Anybody takes anything from my show, the only person that consume is me. Okay? Now, other people have no right to be angry at me if somebody's going behind my back doing this. I have not seen any, so I would like for you to please find those videos and send them to my messenger. Okay? I want to see these videos that they're pulling off of my show.
Oh, they'll pull them down now. Guaranteed.
What platform are they on?
Yeah, what platforms are they
Go
on?
to Little Family, Little Me. They're all littles.
I want a platform that they're playing.
They're a cult, man. It's serious cult. Like, I don't get triggered anymore because I'm free.
I'm going to let you know that I have already had Little Me pinged. Okay.
Good.
So I already know where Little Me is. All right. I did that night. That's what I was doing. So
it is what it is.
That I've already got up and going. And another thing is, like I said, if somebody's taking my content off of our show and doing that, I will sue them because this is my trademarks. Mine.
Yeah. They're hackers. They're horrible people.
So then now my next thing is, Rocco, hang on. My next thing is, Susie and I love you to death. But I would like you to apologize to me because you came at us really hard, okay, just now, over something we knew nothing about.
No, so, I apologize for the way I came at you. But I'm trying to explain to you, they're taking your content.
Okay.
You're not following it. I follow it all. I follow it all. I had one host contact me and tell me from down the rabbit hole, Josh, he is angry.
If Josh, you don't need to be angry at me because if they did that right away. Okay, they didn't wait.
No, they went on to several shows, and what they do is they pre-record the episode, and then they add their Cash Apps, their Venmos, and all that other stuff. So they copyright infringe, and they don't think it's not copyright infringement. It is.
Contact Josh, ask him if he happened to download or keep whatever it was that he's seen, and have him send it to you so you can send it to me, because I have to, in order for me to do anything about that, I have to have those videos that they made, and I have to take those videos that they made and make them understand, because I can easily find out what IP addresses they came from or where they posted them, their contact, what have you. And then I can handle it from there. I have a pretty good attorney on hand and I can take care of that. So I need to see those videos. I need to have them so I can take them in and say, okay, this is what they did. This is what they did. This is what they did. And that is how I have to be able to handle that, because nobody had permission to be doing anything. You start talking about making money, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I
No. I did not mean it at you. I meant it at letting you know. He
didn't mean us. He meant them.
You might get paid behind this, okay? Because let me tell you something. They have made me a cash cow to them. All right? Like, that's how bad this is. There are hoodies talking about Rocco HIV. I'm telling you, you can find this stuff. I am suing I'm telling you right now, I'm coming for their pockets so hard, they don't understand. When my feet hit fucking California, man, I swear when my feet hit California.
Let me tell you this.
Get in the ring with me. Get in the ring with me and
Let
do
me
what
tell
you
you-
got to do. Throw your hands, boy. That's all I'm
Let me tell you this, okay?
because you
This
have
is
not
what I'll do,
listened.
Rocco, this is what I'll do. Get me those videos so that I can prove it, so I can
Right.
take it to an attorney, and all the money that we get back from that, I will give to you. Every single bit of it. Because I can sue them. And they can find out how much money they made off of that, and I can sue them for that. And I'll take everything and give it to you. Okay?
Hold on a second.
But I am going to need those videos and the stuff they made so that I can take that with me to court.
Like the platforms and the channel owners. You know.
Oh, I already got a message. Hang on. Well, we know my shows are watched.
Holy crap. She's got, okay. So
I
you
cannot.
can't see it.
You're gonna have the copy and
If you
paste.
can screenshot it and send it to Brenda.
No, I mean, there are some videos that have been taken down. I mean, she's been doing this for months with me. Rocco Snipe.
Who's that?
You know, Rocco, it's so crazy. Rocco MK Ultra, and now she got that video taken down.
What
Rocco 2 months ago.
what platform?
Rocco streamed 0528. It shows her PayPal's.
Okay, what are they posting it on? What platforms are they posting?
YouTube, Rumble, what's it on?
YouTube, TikTok, what?
YouTube.
How in the hell are they posting that on YouTube? Oh boy, I'm really gonna have YouTube's ass in a sling.
What's the channel?
Little Mama Payday. LILMAMA Payday. And you'll see that this has been going on. It goes on all the time. I'm surprised I'm not hold on. We might be getting sniped right now as we talk. I'm gonna look up some of these punk bitches fucking channels right now. I'm not playing with you, little me. After what you caused me and my family, and I'm saying it righteously right now, you're gonna pay for this. And you're gonna dearly pay for this.
Yeah,
and I hope you're ready for that ring. I really hope you're ready for that ring. On a real note, I'm going to just tell you this right now. You have caused so much anger in my body to build up that I'm sorry, bud. But when we get in that ring, I'm taking it out on you. I can promise you that right now. I am taking it out on you.
Rocco, I was just told
All I'm doing is selling a fight. That's it. That's how you say that to YouTube. If I have reported these people so many times, and YouTube has done jack.
I understand that.
YouTube has done jack crap about it.
I'm not going through YouTube. I'm getting messages from my people. They said that they need anything that you can find that they have taken from my show that has me and Susie on there.
I'm looking for it right now as we speak.
Okay.
Because it could be moved around, it could be deleted. You understand? Like, they get scared when talk starts happening and lawyer, you know what I mean? Because they know they're in the wrong. And some of these people already have criminal records. Calling me a deadbeat dad, but one guy, he's 2 years in the rear of child support. So, you know, these people think they're funny, you know, they think they're clowns. You know, I'm going to get on the web and I'm going to harass people, but I'm going to put you guys out there as being who you are. Heroin addicts, recovering heroin addicts.
I need to, if they're listening.
We get that, Rocco. We understand that they're morally corrupt. Yeah, we get that.
It's just dark souls. I can look you in the eyes right now and I can see darkness.
Okay.
I don't even look at you like a human. And to be honest, I'm starting to think, am I a fucking clone? I mean, ATMs are getting pulled down all over. I mean, it's getting crazy here, my friends. Get ready for a ride.
I told
you. Get ready. And if you ain't a super soldier and you don't have a folder underneath the Pentagon or White House, you definitely ain't about this. Trust me. and I would just fall back. I would just fall back. Listen to some of the episodes with some of the assets that I worked with. A chopper pulled up right after he got done speaking about me on another show, Arkeem Rock. I think it was 4. I think it might have been 4. It might have been 1, but I heard it, and it was loud. It was loud and low.
Yep.
So I'm telling you right now, I am what they call a fractal weapon, okay? I have been traumatized, and people are getting tired of it, and I've been screaming for help. And these ladies, once again, I apologize.
I do hope that the other people from other podcasts are not angry at me and Susie because
No. It has nothing to do with you and Susie. It has to do with they caught on to me going on Josh's channel. Josh has already got the law. He already messaged Payday's mom and said, hey, listen, you don't take it down. There's several people. I mean, there's several people angry right now. Not at you. Has nothing to do with you. They already know who these people are. They've looked into them. You know what I mean? Like, Josh was pissed. I got a message from him. He told me straight up. And yes, I have messages from him stating that they took it. So what I will do is I will message Josh and see if he'll come on here. Because you know what? Hey, we all need to work together. You know?
yeah,
The dark ain't going to win no more. I'm sorry.
you know,
I'm
I'm going to tell you, it's like I told you before. There's a lot of people out there that don't understand what you go through, what Tommy goes through. They understand it a little bit more now. It is just, you guys are trying to put out the truth. Okay.
Right.
You're trying to put out what's happening. And a lot of people think, because I've had people turn around and say, you know, even with Tommy, well, could it just be that he just thinks that this is happening? No. No. But do you see where I'm coming from?
Go have some more candy, why don't you? Seriously, because you know what? When I was a kid, I remember the little yellow school bus, and I remember the lighthouse. You know, how do I remember this stuff? But I never picked up the whitewashed book. Sorry, I had to say it. But anyways, the reason why I didn't pick up the whitewashed book is because how do I know what Preston was really doing?
No,
you know,
I'm gonna tell you,
the whole night after the project was supposedly over in the 90s. He was living in Islip, Long Island, New York.
when we're gonna end the show, okay? When we end the show, I want you and I want Tommy, I want you guys to stay backstage because Susie and I need to talk to you, Rocco, about a very important matter.
Copy.
And she picked up on it because she's seen it, and I
already know where we're going with this because I handled it today. And then I calmed the situation down. So unfortunately, you know,
I saw that, Rocco. I saw you did a little video, and I know that you got a handle on it. So but yeah, that was definitely
that's
a problem.
only because of the prior relationship we had. In, you know, it's almost like basically living in multi dimensions at the same time, and he can see so far ahead that it's hard for him to stay in this reality. And what's going on? There's
Susie and I know why. Susie and I know why, and it's not what you think. We know why, and it's not what you think.
It may not be what you think it is.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. That's the prize. We'll see, because I have been doing remote view sessions, so I have not been like, I don't care about these people. I care about. It might
surprise you a little bit, Rocco. It might surprise you what I'm going to tell you. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I've had several things told to me. Okay. Me and him have connected on a serious mission level. Really seriously going up and, you know, cleaning out bases and you know, doing shit on other planets. Like, my conscious will leave my body and I'll go into like an avatar, or I'll go into like a cloned out super soldier body, and we will go clear these facilities where these kids are at. And if you listen to the DOD reports, it pretty much talks about what we do, but without our names being placed in there. That's just that. That's how
And
Black Ops
and-
operates. So.
And Susie, I found out something today about our little scaly friends that's going to interest you too in this whole thing. So, but we are going to go ahead and go, guys. Hey, next weekend we're doing a show on missing people, missing kids. We're going to have pictures of them up. We're going to have all that stuff. We're going to be doing a show on that. And then we'll also have Penny Bradley will be coming on next weekend too. So we will be here next weekend, cha-cha-cha, like we are every weekend, cha-cha-cha, with or without a guest. He might have got lost.
We'll make it happen.
The last time he was supposed to come on our show, he ended up in a cuckoo bed. So,
Yeah, we have to pray for Mike that everything's okay with Mike, because, he gets under attack a lot.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, everybody.
Everybody's getting attacked on some type of
Collective
level.
attack. Yeah.
It's because the truth is coming out.
And I was told that to do this kind of a show, there's responsibilities that we have to take, and being under attack and having somebody blow out completely my door cam. And now we got people running around, supposedly knocking on doors, trying to get in people's houses at night. Well, I'm sorry, but I own a pew-pew, and I sleep right next to the front door, so come in my door. You better pray to Jesus while you're out there. But we are going to go ahead and call it a night, guys. Thank you for being here. Sorry about the disruption. Norma, what is going on?
Disruption.
Unity.
Anyways, guys, we love you all. And like always,
Yes, we love you guys.
please be kind to one another. Good night.
That's right. Or the Black Ops will pull up.
Goodbye for now, from Beyond the Box.
Please join us again for Beyond the Box, Friday and Saturday evenings, from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern. Join us for more intel bombs from our extraordinary guests.
Good night, Putin. Good night, Tucker.